Trainer Tip Thursday. Today we are going to go over knee stabilization. So I have a few exercises here. One I cannot show you because it's a step up, but I'm sure you all have seen steps before, like your stairs, and or have done a step up before. That is something that's very good for your knees. For example, I'm just going to stand here. You got my knees right here. If I'm doing a step up, I'm doing this motion. You can also do if you don't have steps, you can do a reverse lunge back and come up, reverse lunge and come up like you are going to step up, really leading with that front leg is an option. We've got some things on the floor. We've got bridges and we've got a single leg laying lift. So if we're on the floor doing those glute bridges, so on the floor with your glute bridges, feet right under those, or right in front of your hips. So that way when you do bridge up, your knees are right above your ankles. You do want to be laying down, and we're making sure that we are not letting our knees come in or out. So I'm not doing this and wiggling my knees as I glute bridge up. I'm still keeping the tension and focusing on my glutes, because a lot of times knee tension, we have so many tendons and we have a lot of muscles around the knee. We have your calf, we have your quad, your hamstring, all the little tiny tendons inside the knee itself. Your hip flexor and your glute are all going to do and deal with knee stabilization. So again, that other one that was lying down is a single leg lying leg lift. So I've done these sitting down, where you sit, scooch this way, where you sit, you flex your toe and you lift up and down. It's gonna kick in with your hip flexor and your quad, but you can also do that lying down on the ground. You bend one knee and that other leg is gonna come up and down. And you wanna keep a toe flexed, up and down. You're gonna feel that hip flexor and that quad contract. So that's gonna be another one for knee stabilization. Making sure you are working on that rotation of the knee. You don't want it internally rotated or too far externally rotated. You just want it neutral. Then we've got wall squats or ball wall squats. So if you saw my stability ball workshop video, I had the ball, it was behind you, there was a wall there, and you go up and down on the wall for a squat. Otherwise, I don't have a wall that I could do this on right now, but pretend there's a wall behind me. So you would go completely up and back with that squat. So your knees are going forward. You could also just do the forward knee as well. Again, you'd be keeping your back flat, shoot the knees forward. Although in a regular squat, we do have that hinge. You'd want to keep your back flat. So you'd want like a mirror or something. Otherwise, you're just gonna slide your back up and down the wall, keeping your knees so that as you come forward, your knees are in line with your toes. They can go over as long as they track over, and they're not tracking out and they're not tracking in, but directly over. That's also the same thing with external rotation. So like here's my knees tend to turn in a little bit. When I externally rotate them, you can see my pants kind of move a little bit. They're actually now right where they're supposed to be. When we call screwing into the ground, when we cue our squats, that's what that does. It externally rotates the knees, because a lot of the times we have our hips here, our knees like to go in and then they shoot out kind of like an hourglass. That's an issue for a lot of women. So if you have that issue, like most of us do, we want to externally rotate those knees out and make sure that they're stable before we go in and out of squats. If you have knee pain with squats, this may be why you may not be adding in that external rotation. Squats are also just generally good for the knees. So then we have single leg dips and lateral walks as your last one. So the single leg dip, you'd hold on to some chairs, one leg's in front. You could also just put the toe in front and you dip down almost like a single leg squat. Down and up is what you would be doing with that. Again, as you come down and up, you're making sure that knee is stable and over the toe. We're not going inward and we're not going outward, but straight and directly over. You do want to make sure you're looking at a mirror, or maybe you put yourself on video like I am so you can see what yourself and what you're doing. That's going to be really important until you learn that proprioception and those body cues from yourself. It does take multiple times for that to become a signal to your brain that you're doing it correctly. And then again, those lateral walks, you put a band right above your ankle, those little mini bands, and you would just be laterally walking side to side. You'll see me come in and out of the picture here, making sure that we're working on lateral. So these guys, because you know, our knees are only meant to go like this. We're not meant to bring them back. We're not meant for them to shoot in and out to the side, but it is important because we do have lateral tendons here to keep the knee in place, and we want to work those as well. And that's what really any lateral movement's going to do, even a side lunge. So when we side lunge, I always say you want to keep the knee right directly over the toe or the ankle, as long as it's in line. What we don't want to see when we side lunge is that this, or like you're coming in and your knee's like this and your hip is like here. We want to keep it here. When we're working with knee stabilization, it's very, very important for those with bad knees. More than likely you also have not so great hips or ankles because of the kinetic chain. But make sure, again, we're working on that knee stabilization. Is something that's very, very important for you, for your longevity, just kind of for everything.